Hey, Eli Manning, guess what? It's Rich's birthday. Happy birthday, Rich.
Awesome.
You're
Thanks,
watching
man.
True Blue Review. Yeah, you. It's your birthday. Congratulations. You made it another year.
The big 5-0.
The big 5-0.
The big
Way to go,
5-0.
man. Way to go. What'd you get for your birthday?
Well, we got this awesome Giants totem pole. Is that the coolest ever?
It is.
I mean, this is so cool for the show. I mean, when I took out the box, I'd never seen anything like it.
That's very cool.
But that is very cool. So I think we need to find a name for it.
Okay.
Something that's fitting.
We'll work on that.
We'll figure it out.
We'll work
Plus,
on
I got a scarf. By the way, this is Dan and Heather got this
Okay.
scarf.
A giant scarf.
Cynthia got that, and this is just the Giant stuff that I got. I got a Giant ski hat
Nice.
for nice cold games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be great, and a Giant skull cap,
Fantastic.
courtesy of John and Julie.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was borrowing your skull cap because I used to have one. I lost it. I don't know where it went. This was Greg and Mary, Mary Pat Muller. I don't know if you know them, but
well done.
yeah,
Well done. That's
very
fantastic.
Cool, man. Very cool.
Well, we're going to review the Dallas game for starters.
Yep.
Another loss. The Giants are 2-11 now. Congratulations, Giants. We really appreciate this, making our lives as difficult as possible. We had a fourth quarter meltdown of epic proportions.
Man, they just could. I really just think the defense got to a point where they were just like, we're going to lose.
Yeah, really.
You know, they just didn't play as hard.
It was big plays, man.
They got some really big plays.
You know, the one thing that I noted, Des Bryant obviously got a touchdown, and he had a few other big plays. Janoris Jenkins was nowhere to be found because he's injured, and Des Bryant took full.
Too bad we didn't get to see that matchup.
Yeah, it's been a good matchup.
The week, first week they played, it was fun. Last year, watching that matchup was fun.
Definitely. So, Des Bryant took advantage of that situation, and rightfully so. Rod Smith and Cole Beasley had some nice catches as well. That really just kind of summed up the way the defense was playing. Another thing to note is no sacks by the Giants and no sacks by Dallas, which surprised me. And only two quarterback rushes, if you want to call it, where they put some heat on the quarterback by the Giants. 5 by Dallas. I expect a little bit better out of Dallas even. But
I think that, their game plan defensively, this is Dallas's game plan defensively, was just to blanket the receivers.
Sure.
You're not dealing with receivers that, you're not dealing with a Beckham who can just smoke you. But I was really Sterling Shepard has been really disappointing. Now I think he's injured.
I think it's a hamstring.
And I think he's just trying to play through it, but he's just not as quick.
Yeah.
And they're able to cover him, and he's just not getting open. He's just not getting open.
If I'm not mistaken, Eli had over 300 yards passing. But again, I think they just kept the receivers in front of him and just gave them the yardage that they need, but they didn't break enough for the offense to score anything more than one touchdown.
He was throwing the ball to a lot of different receivers. And, of course, by the time – and they just weren't moving the ball very well. They had a lot of 3-and-outs. And then when it came to the fourth quarter – trying to force it a little bit. Yeah. Throwing picks then, so.
Yeah. So, we end up with another loss, 30-10. And so goes the Dallas Cowboys for the season. They got us both games this year.
Well, right now we're 2-11. So I was looking at the seasons. And I remember earlier in the season that the conversation a couple times was like, man, the Giants look really bad this year, really bad.
Right.
And I was saying, this is like the worst I've ever seen them. I think you might remember me saying that a couple times, that this is just the worst I've ever seen this team play. And now that we're getting towards the end of the season, we're going to know what the record's going to be. Mm-hmm. And now in 2003, they were 4-12. Okay, so they still need to win 2 out of 3 games to get there. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
So maybe we're looking at a 3-win season. Last time I had a 3-win season was in 1976.
That was Bill Arnsparger season.
Is that the year
that was the year they let Bill Arnsparger go? Yeah.
It's like, it's just the history repeats itself.
Certainly.
That's only a 14-game season, though.
Yeah.
So they're 3-11 in a 14-game season. The only season that they've had in the Super Bowl era that's a 2-win season was 1974. Okay. They were 2-12.
Right.
That's a 14-game season. Here they are in a 16-game season with maybe only going to pull out 2 wins.
Wow.
There's a possibility they might win one of these next 3 games.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for them. I'm going to pick them. But,
well,
it's not looking very, it probably won't happen.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that because, Mara was very specific about saying he wanted them trying to win the remainder of the games.
I mean, I think they're going to try to win. I just don't think it just doesn't look like they can win.
But the
offense, they just can't score, man.
No, I know.
They're really, really struggling with moving the ball.
So the question then becomes, with the streak broken and everything, is it really necessary to have Eli in? I mean, if they want to win, sure. If they want the best chance to win, you have to put him in. But now, granted, looking at the Dallas Cowboy game, we were tied at the end of the 3rd quarter. It was the 4th quarter that we got blown out. Hypothetically, if we're behind in the 4th quarter and it doesn't look like we have a chance to come back against the Eagles, well, we can't put Davis Webb in because now I don't even think he's active right now.
They have to activate him
I don't know. I want to see Davis Webb.
I would like to see him too. They might as well.
Yeah.
They already screwed Eli over.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's justify that by at least putting Webb in and seeing what we have with the guy before we decide that we don't want him anymore. And we're going to go after another quarterback again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It confounds me a little bit. I'm not sure apparently the call is up to Spags. So, let's see what he comes up with the last 2 games. I think this game we can pretty much be guaranteed that Eli's going to start.
Well, he might be scared to not start him. The last coach that didn't start him got fired.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, they brought fans back in the stadium at least to welcome back Eli, but okay, we're past that.
That was nice. You had a standing ovation. Everybody was excited.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still looked like the Giants.
Yeah.
I mean, they still looked like, I should say, the 2017 Giants.
Sure.
They just struggle.
Yeah.
With scoring points and moving the ball and having a consistent running game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing to note, I was looking at 3rd downs for the Dallas Cowboy game. I think Dallas was right around 50%, and the Giants were right around 35-40%.
Yeah.
Which is what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same exact team we've seen most of the season.
Nothing changed. So now we've moved on. We're 2 weeks in, basically, to when the big change was made with head coach and GM, and things have started to narrow down a little bit with GM. And from everything that I was kind of reviewing through social media, online, all that kind of stuff, it looks like it's down to 2 people, primarily Dave Gettleman, who is a former GM of the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
And I want to pull up a little bit of his background here. There's quite a bit of it, and my memory isn't quite what it used to be. So I'm going to just read through some of this. He did spend some time with the Giants.
Yeah, he was with the Giants for a while. I didn't. A lot of times you just don't know. These guys in the front office. You just don't know who they are. I mean, I know his name, but I never really knew the guy.
Well, he started out in 1998 as a scout, moved his way up into pro personnel director, and then senior pro personnel analyst. basically going 1999 all the way through 2012, 1998 through 2012. He has a history with this team.
Yeah, so ownership definitely knows him.
Correct. And then finally moving to the Panthers in 2013 as general manager. In looking at his drafting background, he's had some fairly solid drafts. And I think one of the big things to note is the majority, out of 28 draft picks, 27 of them are still playing in the NFL. And the majority of that 27 are still on the Carolina Panthers. I think there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
And NJ.com, where I obtained most of my information from, actually did a comparison this past week, which was really, really helpful. So if you get a chance, definitely go into that and look at that. They can give you more information than I certainly can. And they compared Dave Gettleman's drafts from 2013 up to July when he was released or fired by Carolina. They compared his drafts with Reese's drafts. Interesting to note, out of 32 draft picks that Reese had, 24 are still in the NFL and active. And in looking over what I saw, this last draft, I think, looks to me like it's probably going to be Reese's best draft. So for whatever ass kicking we want to give this guy going out the door, at the same time, it looks like he's leaving us fairly well.
He's definitely picked up some great players along the way, but there's a lot of players that just aren't around, you know, and just never panned out.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I really question the Davis Webb pick, and now he's still not ready to play and all this. And I mean, why didn't you pick somebody else? Especially now, if this year, if they're going to look for their future quarterback, and they're going to get a high draft pick, they're going to be able to get a good quarterback this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked a good quarterback this year, if they picked one of the top picks this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they wasted that pick on Davis Webb if that's the case. It just I'm still baffled by it. I was baffled by it when they did it.
Especially when we needed offensive line help.
Yeah.
I mean, Chad Wheeler's fine. He's picking up. He's learning. But we need more meat. We need more meat. And, you know, DJ Fluker is out. So, you know, here we are again, you know, kind of.
And they had the 7th round pick where they picked that, what's his name, Nabisky, or I can't remember his name because he's not.
Nassib?
No. That's a quarterback from a few years back. His whatever his name is, he's an offensive lineman they picked in the 7th, and he ended up on the practice squad.
Yeah.
So he wasn't good enough to really make the team.
Yeah.
Well, he's on the team, but you know
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. He's not on the active. He's not good enough to make the active roster.
Correct.
You know, so I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
He's had good picks.
Well,
but he's had crappy picks.
Yeah, and the NJ.com again article really breaks that out for you. It shows you all the different picks, how they compare each season between each other. I think it's really a good article, so I definitely recommend looking that up. And in fact, throughout the season, their coverage of the Giants really, it's one of my go-tos. So I recommend that.
Gettleman also not working right now.
Yeah, good point. Good point to make.
So
going back a little bit.
That's really likely. That to me is probably the guy.
Yeah, you know what? I'm in agreement with that. Going back a little bit in July when he was fired from the Panthers, still a little bit fuzzy from what I could really look for, but it sounds like he was really having some issues with the players themselves, and I think that there was a little bit of second guessing in reference to the direction he was going and some of the changes he was making with the offense.
Yeah. Well, you know, bottom line is they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Lost.
Yeah.
And then the next year they make the playoffs.
Right.
It's tough for everybody at that point.
It is. Under them, they do have a winning percentage, a very good winning percentage. It sounds more like there are more positives to him being here than negatives.
Well, I think that one season with Super Bowl, I think they were 15-1. I mean, they were a good team.
They were a very good team. That's right.
I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, as typical with GMs, they usually like to bring in head coaches that they know,
right,
that they've worked with before. And the prospect that most people are talking about is Steve Wilks. He's the defensive coordinator and assistant head coach of Carolina. And again, doing a little bit of digging on him, really, he did a stint with the Bears. He did a stint with the Chargers. Then he moved on to the Carolina Panthers, and he moved his way up from there. He came on with Carolina in 2012, so he's been there a little while. And I would venture to say that Carolina has definitely shown a solid defense since he's been there.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, just currently. What are they? They're 9-5 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they're tied for first place because they just beat New Orleans.
Yeah, but I think they're 9-5. Yeah, I think they are tied for first place.
They're either 9-5 or I don't think 9-4. 9-4 because of the week.
Oh, okay. So.
Yeah, they're a good team this year.
They are. Dave Gettleman, at the time that he was with the Panthers, he was 40-23-1. So I had written that down and I forgot. But Steve Wilks is doing a heck of a job with the defense on this team. I did print out currently, they're 9-4, you're right. Mm-hmm. Currently, as they sit, the defense in points, they're ranked 10th, giving up 20 points a game roughly. Yards, 302 yards a game, ranked 5th. Ranked 7th in passing yards at 212, and ranked 4th in rushing at 89.5 yards a game.
They've always been a top rushing team too.
Yeah,
and that's because they've got Newton.
Yeah,
he gets a lot. He gets a lot of rushing yards for a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, no, this is what they give up.
That's what they give up.
This is what the defense is giving up. This is what the defense is giving up.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just.
Well, that was another point.
We're strictly No, as far as defense goes, very solid defense. They do have a tendency to do a lot of blitzing, and I mean that's right up the Giants' alley. That's he already has a defense that's relatively set. We don't know about certain players. Like Eli Apple right now is a train wreck. This guy's a train wreck. It's not worthy of going into the mess he created during the Dallas game with texting and all sorts of stuff. He was on Twitter throughout the game, and now him and Landon Collins have something between the two of them. Landon Collins having called him out this week. Eli's a mess, Eli Apple, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone from this team. But otherwise, I mean, we do have, I think JPP has got to be something that's addressed, someone that's addressed. He hasn't come around this year. He hasn't. And you know what? Is he getting to the point where he's aging? Is he getting to the point where he doesn't have any fire in him? I don't know what it is. But there are certain positions on this team that a head coach or a defensive coordinator type like Steve Wilks is going to have to address, whether it's him or anyone else. Yeah. So, but he seems like the guy.
It's likely, especially if Gettleman comes in. I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
So the one other person that was kind of like, let me pull a rabbit out of the hat, and his name seems to come up, is Nick Caserio. And he's the director of player personnel with the Patriots. So, and the reason his name comes up is because Josh McDaniels' name comes up.
Yeah.
And they're kind of a pair between the two of them. Why do I say that? Interesting information. Both are 41 years old. Okay, so now if you're trying to go toward that younger kind of we want to build long term.
Right.
Gettleman being 66 years old, old school kind of guy. Now you got a young man trying to make his way in, really into the NFL. He has no draft experience from what we can see as far as what's on paper. Okay, it doesn't mean he hasn't been included as director of player personnel, but we don't see a positive draft from him. Both of them went to John Carroll. That's where they graduated from. They both played together at John Carroll. We're talking about Nick Caserio and Josh McDaniel. Okay, now Josh did his stint in Denver, and he came back over. Caserio has been with New England Patriots since 2001. So he's been there a long time.
And you're also saying that Josh McDaniels, which I didn't realize, played with Steve Spagnuolo as a coach. When he coached the Rams, Steve Spagnuolo.
That's correct.
Josh was the assistant coach. And it was like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I flat out did not know that. So, I mean, obviously they know each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if he was to become the head coach, you can see maybe Spagnuolo will stay.
Yeah.
As
defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I don't know, although this year the defense has really been a letdown. I'm not sure to what extent that's Spag's fault or not, because we don't know what went on behind the scenes with McAdoo and all this kind of stuff. We know Spags is a good defensive coordinator. He's had some good years.
Sure, he's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah. It's interesting, that scenario, but I thought I'd bring up Nick Casario's name, mainly on the fact that a lot of people have been talking about Josh McDaniel. Well, Josh is his own man. Can he come without the guy? Sure. One more thing in a reference to note about Nick Caserio is he was approached by San Francisco last year, and he turned down the position with San Francisco. However, he has stated publicly that he would consider talking to the Giants about the position. So certainly if they're going with the idea that they want a young GM that's going to be here for a while, that may be a direction to go in.
Very plausible.
That may be a direction to go in. So with him, we talked about Josh McDaniel. One other person to talk about whose name's been thrown out there is Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator for New England. He's been around a while, but he's only been with New England, and but he's a great defensive coordinator. I mean, especially this year, they've had some injuries, and they've pulled that defense together after it didn't look like they were going to be very good at the beginning of the year.
Right. They've definitely stepped up. Like around Game 5, they start to. I mean, look at their record. I mean,
yeah. He started with New England Patriots in 2004, and he's stuck on ever since. And now he's a defensive coordinator since 2012, and he's done a good job with them. So, he's a possibility out there too. Big beard, burly guy, a big difference from the slick back,
Let me look at something real quick with him. Look at that. He's born in New York.
That's it too.
He's
Actually,
a New Yorker.
Yeah, he is a New Yorker. He's the only one. So yeah, he is a New Yorker too.
That's kind of interesting.
So, yeah, and
I don't know where the hell that is in New York.
Cheryl, it's up north. It's near Buffalo area.
Oh, he's way over that side.
Yeah, he's up north.
Okay,
he's up north.
He's Western New Yorker.
And the other thing is too, he is a rocket scientist. Right?
Yeah,
so
I heard that.
He has a degree. Yes, he has a degree.
Man, don't judge a book by its cover.
That's right.
No, I mean, obviously these coaches are all very, very intelligent people.
Yeah.
They're smart guys. A lot of the players, extremely smart guys too.
Right.
But he just doesn't look like a rocket scientist.
No.
He looks like he rides a Harley.
Yeah, no doubt. So. That's what we have so far. As it's narrowed down a little bit on GM and head coaching, I'm sure there are more out there. Somebody could pull a rabbit out of their ass at any point, but that was primarily what I got. Is there anyone you think we're missing in reference to that?
I haven't really thought about it as much as you. I knew Gettleman.
Yeah.
That just makes sense.
He's the front runner.
And as far as the other prospects, I mean, it just always, you just never really know. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that we're just not privy to.
Yeah.
So we'll see. They might bring somebody from college for all we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I doubt it, but it's possible.
Let's talk about the Eagles. It's not going to be a long conversation because they're great and we're not. All right. What's the big news of the past week?
Wentz is out.
Wentz is out. Foles is in.
Yeah, but I mean, Foles is good too. I mean, yeah. I don't see it. I mean, it's a fall off,
right?
But Foles had a couple seasons where he was like a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
He's not a scrub.
No, not at all. Not at all. They actually built up a nice tandem between the two. Of if anything happened to Wentz, Foles had the background. He's been with the Eagles for years. So certainly, him stepping in there is nothing new. Mm-hmm. In reference to, I printed out a little bit of this and that, primarily on the, let me make sure I'm looking right here. I believe these are offensive stats. And we're looking at, no, that's not this defensive. Offensive stats, 31 points a game. Boom.
Yeah, they're top offense.
Yeah. First place in that. Third place in yards per game, almost 400 yards a game, 390. Wow. That's crazy. Passing yards, 247. And rushing yards, 143.
I mean, the Giants gave them a game last time they played, remember?
Hey, we had them down to a field goal.
They took a lead on them, and then that guy hit that ridiculous field goal.
That's 63 yards?
Oh, my God. Something like that.
Yeah.
It was like unbelievable.
Yeah, so their offense is just off the hook. And although they were tried by the Rams. But again, you got high potent offense on both sides. And literally, and Foles pulled it out. So, great on them. That's fantastic. And defensively, again, they're up there at the top. They only give up an average of 71 yards rushing per game, 223 yards per game, which actually is probably their worst stat offensively at 13th. Total yards per game is 294. They're fourth in the league, and 19.2 points per game, and we don't even score 20.
They're a solid team.
So yeah. So I want the Giants to win, and I just don't see it happening. You never know. But you never know.
And that's the given Sunday.
And they're rivals. Sunday. And they are rivals. So and the NFC East is unpredictable.
Players will probably get up for the game, I think. I mean, I hope.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to root for the Giants.
Yeah, me too. That's it for our show. I want to thank Tin Cannon, Big Blue Nova. We're going to be out there tomorrow. And I want to thank you, Rich.
Thanks, John.
And thanks, Sabrina and Julie, for all you do. And thank you all very much for watching us this season. We still have a couple more games left after this. And a big surprise on the season finale. So thank you very much, and we're out.
Thanks, Giants fans.